Hello, hockey fans, and welcome back into the neutral zone here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Got a lot to get to on this Wednesday night. The Wednesday before Christmas. So can we really call it that? I mean, next Wednesday is Christmas Eve. Yeah, we'll go with it. The Wednesday before Christmas. We talked about it last week, and then we did get a Hughes trade. But do we have all three of the Hughes brothers reuniting in New Jersey? Or did somebody else get involved? We will break down that trade to the Minnesota Wild, everything entailed therein. Speaking of the Minnesota Wild, they have been on fire. We will break them down, see what is going on. The Wild are hot right now. The Hughes trade was not the only move that went on last week. We had a goalie swap with Edmonton and Pittsburgh, and then they went ahead and played each other last night. We will discuss that, break that down. Who won that trade? Will it really be a difference-making move for either team? We'll break that down. We'll get into some more Olympic conversation as we debate Team Canada's roster, though with an injury to Connor Bedard, that likely made the decision for Team Canada there as they get ready for the Olympics. All that plus more coming up right here, right now on the Neutral Zone. Do not go anywhere. Here we go. And hello and good evening, everyone. Welcome on into the Neutral Zone here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. He is Freddie B. I am Adam Karnik. Together, we do this crazy thing every Wednesday night. Sorry for the little bit of the late start tonight. Life kind of does what it does sometimes, but we are here. We are here and we are able to talk some hockey. So let's dive on. Well, first of all, Freddie, are you ready for Christmas next Thursday? Because we've only got about 8 days.
I'm ready. I put the tree up, my King's tree up in the back here. I put all the ornaments, all my King's ornaments on there the other night, and I'm praying, and hoping I'm on the nice list maybe this year and get some King's wins or something like that. That's what I'm hoping Santa brings us Kings fans is some victories because things are not good right now. But yes, I can't wait for Christmas. Hockey is heating up. Good times to come. And I can't wait to talk about everything that's happened over the past week, Adam.
Yeah, we got a lot to get into, so let's dive right in. First of all, before we get too much further, of course, we do want to acknowledge and thank our sponsors here at IE Sports Radio, starting with Planet Jerky, the premium brisket beef jerky, the jerky that's on a whole other planet. You can go to planetjerky.net to place your orders and follow them on Instagram at Planet Jerky. We also want to say thank you to Vital Apparel, the brand that not only fits great, but also promotes and donates to mental health research. Go to vitalapparel.com, use the promo code IESR, and you get 15% off of your order. So thank you to them for continuing to sponsor the show. Mm-hmm. We want to say hello to everybody watching the show live tonight across YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter. You can follow along with IE Sports Radio on Twitter at IE Sports Radio. We're also on YouTube and Twitch there as well. So thank you to everybody that is tuning in live and to everybody watching on later on as a podcast. We say hello and thank you to you as well. All right. Well, before we dive into the meaty news, it's later on in the night than normally we do this, but let's go through the scores from the NHL tonight. Not a ton of games on the docket tonight, just the 5. But how are we looking? Who's doing what tonight?
Tonight so far, the two finals that have already gone and been played was Utah going into Detroit and beating the Red Wings 4-1 tonight. Uh, Good game there for Utah. Goals by Kyler McBain, Dylan Gunther, and then Kevin Stenlin picking up his third of the season. So Utah wins that game over Detroit. I watched the Kings take on the Panthers in Florida, and a team that is so stake bitten and can't score goals got one of the most flukiest goals you'll ever see. It was a slap shot trying to clear out of the zone, hits Kevin Fiala in the shin guard. He's down between the face-off circle and the red end line, deflects off his shin guard, ricochets into the net. Kings got their second goal of the game, but still failed to capitalize on a power play late. Couldn't score on the 6-on-4. It's just frustrating. And then we lose Darcy Kemper. We'll get into that in a little bit. Florida wins. Big win for the Panthers. They're starting to roll right now. In the third period, Carolina putting a whooping on Nashville. No surprise there. Philip Forsberg with the lone goal for the Preds. And then St. Louis beating or hanging on right now with 4 minutes to go against the Jets. So, man, Jets are struggling. St. Louis is struggling. St. Louis is going through a revolving door of injuries right now as well. So those are two teams just trying to find themselves again. And then the late game tonight just started. Vegas hosting New Jersey. First minute of the game, Vegas is already going on a power play. They are about to take over the top spot in the Pacific Division. They do have games in hand over the Ducks. So Vegas really rolling right now. Those are the games that we have going on tonight in the NHL.
Sounds good. And that impressive score to me with the Utah Mammoth winning 4-1 against Detroit. Vizmelka, 27 saves on the night tonight for Utah. And, the Mammoth, they weren't – the ice was tilted against their favor for the first two periods. You look at the shots.
Statistically, yes, absolutely. Yeah.
Detroit outshooting Utah 23-16 through the first two periods, but heading into the third, it was 2-0 Utah. So job well done there in net tonight and in Utah by Karol Vizmelka getting a well-deserved win there. That's
huge.
His 14th of the season. Yeah.
Huge win for Utah. That puts them now in a three-way tie with the Kings and the Sharks in the Pacific Division, not the Pacific, in the Western Conference, all with 37 points in that last wild card spot. So Utah has crept their way in there. San Jose is now in the wild card conversation, and LA is in a free fall. Edmonton has worked their way up there now into 38 points. So we're starting to see things shift in the West a little bit. We've seen Anaheim kind of come down a little bit, and Vegas is now surging. So exciting hockey all around right now.
Yeah, absolutely. Good. So how did the Kings lose to Florida, though? I realize that they're the two-time defending champs, but they're also banged up and beaten up. That was a spot that I felt like the Kings would be able to take advantage of.
If you follow the Kings, Adam, you would have known that was almost a guaranteed loss from the beginning. Because Anton Forsberg is our number one goalie right now, with Darcy Kemper being injured the other night as he was taken out by Mikko Rantanen of Dallas. Losing your number one goalie and probably the MVP of the team so far this season. Unfortunately, Kemper, the only thing he can't do is score goals, and neither can anybody else. Kevin Fiala tonight, like I mentioned, get a fluky goal. Look at the highlight on that. It is one of the craziest goals I've ever seen, just from where it happened and the velocity that the puck had on it after it ricochets off of him. He picks up his 12th of the season. That leads the team. Scoring is tough right now. The Kings have 9 games this season when they've only scored 1 goal as well. So, power play issues. They've given up 6 shorthanded goals. We saw them. I was at the game Saturday night against Calgary, and the Kings jump out to a 1-0 lead. And they can't ever, go up 2 goals in a game. 1-0. They're on a power play. They give up a shorty. So it's tied. Game goes to overtime. Kings score in overtime. Unfortunately, it was a kick in motion by Anze Kopitar. Not even
Uh,
30 seconds later, Calgary goes down and scores on the other end. That's just how it's been going right now. Philip Deneau is supposedly, has the flu. I don't know if his days are numbered in LA. He has 0 goals this year as well. Quentin Byfield is a no-show most nights. It's very frustrating. So let me get my rant out. It's done. We really don't need to focus on the Kings anymore tonight, other than they have Tampa Bay tomorrow. And if Phoenix Copley, he may be the guy in goal tomorrow. We'll see if he can give us the first of many miracles of which we need for the Kings right now.
Or you just tell everybody to pound the over as they get ready for that one tomorrow night.
Yeah. Take Tampa Bay on the goal line for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, let's get into the big story from last week. We talked about the Hughes brothers and how there might be a reunion in New Jersey, and not a day later, Vancouver goes and trades Quinn, and we think, oh my goodness, here we go. And he winds up in Minnesota. They weren't even on the radar. That wasn't there. Wasn't anybody that was talking about.
Not even the so-called experts of the NHL had Minnesota. Billy Guerin was working stuff behind the scenes and not making it known that they had something in the works with Vancouver to make that move for Quinn Hughes. And what a ginormous trade, not only for Minnesota to land him now in a conference that you have the likes of Cale Makar and Miro Heiskanen and, Josh Morrissey in Winnipeg. There are really good defensemen in the Central Division now. And now for a year and a half, at least for a year and the remainder of this season, Minnesota has Cale Makar. I'm sorry, not Cale Makar, but Quinn Hughes on their team. And he's already made dividends, picking up points in the first 2 games. Huge trade. I love it for Minnesota. It wasn't on our radar at all.
No, it wasn't really on anybody's radar. So let's review the move here real quickly.
Yeah.
So the trade was Minnesota sends forwards Liam Ogren, Marco Rossi, defensive end Zeev Bayam, a first-round pick in 2026 to Vancouver in exchange for Quinn Hughes.
Yeah, outstanding.
And then according to Pierre LeBrun of The Athletic, there were 6 other teams that were interested, including the Red Wings, the Devils, obviously, the Rangers, and the Flyers. Those were 4 of the 6.
I thought, we were strong about New Jersey being probably the landing spot. But then if I had to pick that dark horse, I was going with Philadelphia based on Rick Tockett's familiarity with Quinn Hughes in Vancouver. But no, in Minnesota, and Vancouver gets a lot back in this trade as well. And Zeev Bayam, in the first 7 minutes of his first Canucks game, he picks up a goal and an assist. He was the first Canucks player to do that in his very first game as a defenseman. And the last defenseman to score a goal in his first game for the Canucks was Quinn Hughes, of all people. They also got Marco Rossi, who's a fantastic, second line center that can lead that team, especially with, the injury to Pettersson. And then Liam Ogren, who has, shown some glimpses that he could be maybe a potential star in this league, maybe, be a solid second or third liner. He picked up his first goal of the season last night as well. So everybody already contributing for Vancouver, and that's just part of their rebuilding process. I like what they've done.
Yeah, I like it too. I also like how Minnesota didn't beat around the bush. There's a great piece from the Daily Face-Off by Anthony DeMarco breaking the move down overall and talking about how the Wild understood what it was that Vancouver was looking for in the deal. They wanted a center. Yeah. They wanted a left shot defenseman, and they had a couple of other small needs. And so Minnesota didn't beat around the bush. It was, here you go. Here's a center. Here's a defenseman. Here's a draft pick. Here's another guy to toss in. We're serious about this. We want Quinn Hughes. Okay, yes, you are serious about this. Here you go. Congratulations.
Yeah.
Let's make this happen. This is everything we're looking for. We have no reason to go anywhere else.
Bill Guerin hit it out of the ballpark, and he's doing a fantastic job in Minnesota. Now that, you still have Dallas and Colorado in your division, but you're going to be one of the top 3 in the Central for sure. And for now, the next couple of years, though, this year and next, you do have Quinn Hughes, around. Now, whether or not he decides to stay and sign in Minnesota, that's to be determined. They're already paying Kirill Kaprizov $17 million a year, so they have a lot of money tied up. The cap is going to go up to, I think, $104 million. So
it's going to jump, yes.
So they will have the money. They're going to have to negotiate, but he's going to be on the market again probably in a year and a half from now.
Yeah, so that leads to another good one here is, would the Wild be done at this point? Are they are who they are, and this is going to be what the team is going forward, or do you think there's more moves to be made?
I really don't think there is many moves to be made. They've already established that they can ride the goalie tandem of Wallstead and Philip Gustafsson. They're like the 5th as far as goalie stats are in the league. They're ranked 5th among goalies, and Gustafsson picked up a huge shutout in the game last night. Minnesota is on fire. They've won 5 in a row, outscoring their opponents during that 5-game stretch, 23-7.
Yeah, just another shutout for the Minnesota Wild. We keep seeing this. They're currently 3rd in the Central, and they are hot, as you just brought up, and Glenn Ritter just commenting in the chat room.
Yes,
brought
Glenn.
it up too. He loved the trade for Hughes. I would think that the Wild are probably done only from the financial standpoint. I know that we talk a lot of times in other sports where the salary cap, that's just for the accountants to play with. It's a little harder to do that in the NHL as it is in some of the other sports. They'd have to get really creative with the finances to make another move.
They would.
I wouldn't be surprised though if they feel like, no, we're heck with it. We're committed. We're going all in. If there's somebody that we want to get, let's go get it. But let's talk about this run that they're on. You brought up how they've been outscoring their opponents lately. Another shutout. They had a 5-goal game last night, beating the Capitals 5-0 a night ago. They are overall, as I pull my numbers back up, they are 3rd in the Central. They have won their last 5, as you pointed out.
Yeah,
they are playing incredibly good hockey. As we go through those, let's look at those 5 straight wins for a moment. Their last loss, ironically enough, was in Vancouver, back at the beginning of the month.
Yeah, they had that bad stretch. They lost to Vancouver and Calgary back-to-back nights, and then they've ripped off 5 straight.
5 straight. They beat the Kraken 4-1, come home, beat the Stars 5-2. That was an impressive win.
Yeah.
Beat the Senators 3-2, then manhandled the Bruins 6-2, and crushed the Capitals 5-0 last night. So yeah, you pointed out the really good mix of offense and defense overall in the last 2 nights. Last 2 games winning 11-2.
They've got to, they maintain this. They're going to stay. They're not going to catch Colorado, in my opinion, but they're going to be a really tough team to knock out. And they're, a team that is going to get beyond, I think, that first round. Can you imagine Dallas, and Minnesota playing in the first round of the playoffs? Is you may have, the 2 teams 2 and 3 in the NHL. One of them is going to be knocked out that early, but they know the importance of what it is to make a deep run in the playoffs now. And I think Minnesota has built themselves. You're getting contributions from everybody right now. Vladimir Tarasenko, of all people, he's a little bit older, as we know. He had some really good years in St. Louis, and he contributed last night as well. They're really playing good. And like Glenn's mentioning, yes, they are down the 3 defensemen as well. I just had them pulled up right here. Let me see if I can pull that back up. Give me 1 second.
Go for it. While you do that too, they're upcoming. So they're off tonight. They play tomorrow in Columbus. You'd think that's the right time to be hitting a team like that. Then Saturday they host the Oilers. Sunday they host the Avalanche. That's going to be tough.
That's must-see TV right there. That's outstanding. You go to the Oilers and Colorado. Yeah, they are down defensemen, Zach Bogosian, Jonas Brodin, Jake Middleton, Matt Zuccarello back on the IR as well. They had him back for about 2 weeks, and then he re-injured himself. But I think Minnesota can get out of this weekend and pick up 4 of 6 points is huge. And then you go into that Christmas break, and they're feeling really good about themselves, especially if they end it Sunday night, with a win over the Avalanche.
Oh, win over the Avalanche on Sunday night would be massive for
huge.
The Wild. They do have Nashville before Christmas as well.
Right.
That could be a letdown spot. If you do have to kind of be careful of, especially if they beat Colorado on Sunday, you have to be careful of a letdown spot there. But
that's something to look for too with Minnesota is, can they go on these sustained runs of like 8 to 6, 7, 8 game winning streaks, or do they play kind of more 500 hockey? I think they're the top kind of team now that can go on those massive runs, and that's really going to show their character. Quinn Hughes is going to pay dividends. The way he just carries the puck into the zone and the way he could possess the puck as well. He's the top possessing defenseman in the NHL, and now you have him in an area in which Minnesota was kind of struggling as far as their D-men on the blue line. So
and as long as you continue to get, we talk about it all the time with every team, as long as you continue to get good play in net from your goalies, have goalie will travel. You can knock off anybody, if your goalie is just refusing to let pucks behind him. You will have great success there. Wallsted's come kind of back to earth a little bit, but Gustafsson with the shutout last night, I would imagine we will see him. All right, you get to play coach right now for a moment in Minnesota. Where do you use? You're going to have to use Wallstead this weekend for one of them. Do you throw him against Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl, or do you put him against Cale Makar?
I would like to see him, and I think it would be more suitable if he was going up against Colorado. Because Edmonton's no slouch either, and they're on fire right now. I mean, Connor McDavid's got 20 points in his last 7 games, and they're scoring 5 and 6 goals a night now. So both guys are going to be under attack, and I just want to see Wallstead. I want to see how he does going up against that Avalanche team, because they might see each other more down the road, obviously, and then maybe in the playoffs. So he's leading the league still with a 1.95 goals against average. So
I agree with you on that one. To me, it's Colorado is the more important of the 2 games. Yes, you want to beat Edmonton. Yes, you want to get as many points as you can here before we get into Christmas. But to me, that Colorado game is the more important. That's where you want to have your number 1, if you will. That's where you want to have your hottest.
Or 1A, but they're both a 1A and a 1B. So that it's pick your poison kind of when you're going against the Minnesota goalies right now.
Glenn throws into the chat room here. The playoff format needs to change. I've
been saying that for a while too.
See, and I don't know if we want to get into this tonight or not. I understand that it's different. I understand why it's controversial. I understand why a lot of people don't like it. I'm one of the people that actually does like it, and I'll say it simply this way.
Okay.
The NHL does not have the luxury of, say, the NFL or the NBA, where you can kind of guarantee that eyeballs will be on every round simply because, oh, the playoffs are on. Oh yeah, the playoffs are on. We're going to tune in. So having those marquee matchups in each round helps guarantee that you get the eyeballs on there. Plus, my goodness, you get some great matchups.
The only way I think if they keep it like this format is if they increase the amount of teams that make the playoffs. Because right now in the Western Conference, Colorado, Dallas, and Minnesota are the top 3 teams. One of those teams is out guaranteed after the first round of the playoffs. That doesn't make much sense when they would be playing, the 6, 7, and 8 seeds respectively. And if you look at the standings right now, if the playoffs were to start today, Colorado would be playing San Jose, Dallas would be playing Los Angeles, and Minnesota would be playing Edmonton. So,
yeah, when you've got in particular a stacked division, that does make it significantly tougher too. There is that. And Glenn also pointing out that Wallstead did shut out the Avalanche once already here this season. So that would lead to think that Wallstead will probably play against Colorado again.
I think so.
Would certainly make sense. Certainly makes sense to lead up that way. Well, speaking of Edmonton, since we brought him up once or twice already, Quinn Hughes was not the only guy that got traded this past week. The Edmonton Oilers, we have basically any time that we've been discussing Edmonton, we have not been able to mention them without talking about Stuart Skinner. That what are they going to do? How are they? Are they really going to rely on Stuart Skinner? How far can they really go when they've got Skinner in net? Well, he is officially no longer Edmonton's problem. The Edmonton Oilers made a trade with the Pittsburgh Penguins.
Yeah.
Where they did a goalie swap, where Stuart Skinner goes to Pittsburgh. Yeah. And then they get Tristan Jarry comes back. We'll go through. I'll officially give you the full breakdown of the trade here.
Yeah.
So Skinner moves from Edmonton to Pittsburgh. Tristan Jarry goes from Pittsburgh to Edmonton. The Penguins also received Brett Kulak and a second-round pick in the 2029 draft. So that's going to take a while for that to pay off. And the Oilers also received forward Samuel Poulin. Who is down in the American Hockey League at the moment.
Yeah, and I think the other big thing is neither team retained anyone's salary as well. So it was really an even swap.
Yeah, it was straight up. We have a goalie we'd like to get rid of. Oh, we have a goalie we'd like to get rid of.
Yeah.
Let's figure out a way to make this happen. And they did. Now, I know you have very strong feelings on this move, so I'm going to clear the deck and let you go.
I do have strong feelings, and there was nothing more entertaining than being in the Pittsburgh and Edmonton Oiler, chat rooms and stuff like that, saying, oh, finally, we got rid of Tristan Jarry. He cost us in the playoffs. And then Edmonton's like, oh, man, I'm so glad we got Stuart Skinner. He's cost us the last few years in the playoffs. Both teams have had their frustrations with both goalies, and they basically just swapped, in my opinion, trash for trash. One man's trash could be another man's treasure. We may see that happen and play out. I don't know that's going to happen. There's the saying that goes, you can polish a turd, but it's still doo-doo, right? And I think that's what you get with both of these guys. And it was so evident last night as Edmonton played Pittsburgh, and Stuart Skinner does pick up the loss. He gave up 5 goals, and Tristan Jarry gave up 4 himself. But, both goalies, it was a weird-looking game. Both goalies were wearing the correct padding in their new team's respective colors, but their old team's masks. So it was a little bit funny. And just watching those guys,
I loved the comment that one person made on Twitter. It was, couldn't they just skate to center ice and swap their masks? Yeah. I mean, wouldn't that make sense here? Do they really have to? Do they really have to do that? But
but you know what? Maybe that's what they need. We'll see. Edmonton is rolling right now offensively. They are an offensive juggernaut, as we've seen over the last few years. But when it comes down to goaltending, Stuart Skinner never really was there to steal them a game. Tristan Jarry may, with a new change of scenery, he may be the guy that can take them and maybe win an extra game or two. I mean, they've lost in the Stanley Cup Finals the last 2 years with Skinner in goal. He wasn't that bad. I mean, he's not very good, but to lead your team to 2 Stanley Cup Finals, I mean, I think Skinner is the better of the 2 goalies. We'll see how it plays out. I don't know.
Yeah, Skinner was the guy in net while they made it to 2 Stanley Cup Finals.
That's what I'm saying. They rode him as their number 1 over the last 2 years. And they rode all over him last night, putting up 5 goals, including the another iconic picture from last night was the Oilers bench surrounding and coming onto the ice as Leon Draisaitl picked up his 1,000th point right outside the crease where Stuart Skinner was just standing. It was they're all celebrating. He got his 1,000th point and Skinner's just skating in his crease back and forth. It was
you had to get that against me, didn't you?
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Oh, yeah. And he had the worst of everything last night. He gives up Draisaitl's 1,000th point.
Yeah.
He also, Connor McDavid went full on Connor McDavid on his former goalie, where it was coming down on a breakaway, full speed ahead, and you could just see Skinner was, oh, that's what that looks like. Oh, this is terrifying. I don't like this at all. I want nothing to do with this.
Yeah,
whose idea was this anyway?
I don't think anybody wants to be in the way of Connor McDavid right now because he is a man possessed. He's battling up there right now. He had for a moment last night. He was the league leader in points until Nathan McKinnon picked up a couple of points in the nightcap. But he's 20 points in 7 games for McDavid. Draisaitl's getting hot. Zach Hyman is producing. Their defense is still suspect, obviously, with Nurse and Bouchard and Ekholm. That kind of puts the goalie in vulnerable positions. And, they're going to rely heavily upon Calvin Pickard and Tristan Jarry to keep this team going. Edmonton's rolling right now, 6th in the West. We'll see. An interesting trade, though.
And interesting. And I will say, too, if you're the old saying is, in order to get something, you have to give up something. In order to get something of value, you have to give up something of value. The same's kind of true the other way, where if you're looking to get rid of something that's not necessarily of great value, you're not going to get tremendous value in return either. And in a deal like this, you've got 2 goalies who both franchises needed to move on. I mean, Skinner this season with the Oilers had a 3.39 goals against average, which was bottom 7 in the entire league. Tristan Jarry, meanwhile, just a 909 save percentage on the season. Okay, not great, certainly not stellar, but all right, you can kind of live with this. For both franchises, you can kind of wash your hands of it, move on. You got something. Is it of huge value? No, it's not anything of huge value.
Yeah.
But you got something for a guy that you really didn't want to have on your team anymore. So it makes sense.
You got a serviceable defenseman as well in Brett Kulak. He's only has 2 assists on the season and is a -7 in 32 games. But Pittsburgh does get a serviceable defenseman who at some times, can be, enforce his presence on the ice physically. So, we'll see. Pittsburgh is they started the season really hot, then they kind of fizzled out. We don't know where they're at right now. I think they've already reached that plateau and peaked too early in the season. I think they're going to start slowing down a little bit. We'll see what Stuart Skinner can do. Maybe he can steal some games as well. They do have a really good, deep, young talent in Wilkes-Barre as well. And, and Arthur Shelov's, they'll probably be splitting the time. He may be getting more of the starts over Stuart Skinner.
Yeah, we'll see how it goes there. Well, you mentioned there were a couple of injuries already that popped up. There was another massive injury that came up last week that I
texted you immediately when I saw that. I was like, Adam, this is not good.
No, I saw that the Blackhawks lost, and I was okay. What? All right. Well, what happened? And then I saw the final face-off. Connor Bedard has a separated shoulder.
Yeah.
And as soon as the puck was dropped, and it happens with 0.8 of a second left to go in the game in St. Louis. Not even a second left, and it's a fluke play, a freak thing. It happened. It's all right. It's one of those things. I understand it. It doesn't mean I like it.
He was just in a scrum not too long before that as well, picking up a penalty. And I thought, that was kind of going to be his night. But then for, what happened in that little kind of melee at the end there, gets his arm pinned underneath him and separates that shoulder. And he's skating. You could see the amount of pain that he was in and the way he skated off the ice, that it was not a good situation. And then we come to find out separated shoulder. And I don't know what the timetable is on his return, but shoulder injuries are one of those things, especially when it's a dislocation like that. He could be out sometime.
The team is officially calling him week to week, and they are going to wait until the calendar flips over into January before they put him back out there. They put him on short-term injury reserve for now. He wants to get out there. He wants to get back out there. To his credit, he's living in there, coach. Come on, I can get out there. The Blackhawks have said, no, we are waiting until after the new year. We are not going to put him back out there
you've seen that. You've seen that in guys before who have wanted to come back too early from an injury and end up, hurting themselves even worse. May not be the shoulder, but just wasn't ready and wasn't fully healthy. Now, my question, Adam, we had this debate last week on the show as we started talking international hockey, talking about Olympics. He was kind of on the fence there about making that Olympic team. Where does this put Connor Bedard now?
To me, I think this removes him from consideration from Team Canada for the Olympics. I mean, I had kind of felt that he wasn't going to make it anyway, simply because of he's been held out of some other international events with Team Canada in recent memory.
Right.
So they kind of have done that already. Rosters are due New Year's Eve. So 2 weeks from today is when you have to submit your roster. The Blackhawks aren't going to play Bedard before then. Now they're going to, obviously, word is going to get around, and obviously the Blackhawks and Team Canada will be talking with each other, and the Blackhawks aren't going to hide anything from Team Canada here in this situation. But with the rosters being due in 2 weeks and he's dealing with a separated shoulder, I think that makes the final decision for Team Canada, and they're probably not going to include him on there. That would be my guess. Now, as I say that, I'm checking over on Sportsnet right now to see what they've got to say. Justin Bourne, he, as I'm looking here, he does not have Connor Bedard in.
I think even before the injury, he was kind of he was battling in one of the reports I had seen, for the last man spot with Brandon Hagel of the Tampa Bay Lightning, the two that would, be like a reserve, so to speak. So I don't think he was even in. He may have been a reserve. Now I don't know. I don't think it's a wise decision. For Team Canada nor the Blackhawks, if he isn't healthy, to even try to play, use that extra time to recover from this injury. The Blackhawks are right in the thick of things, and they can go on a little run, but maybe make a push to that final wild card spot. But if you bring Bedard back too early, and then he takes a check, he makes it to the Olympic game, and he gets hit into the boards and falls awkwardly, or man, the Blackhawks season could be over, and it was so promising already. I think Bedard and his team and the Chicago Blackhawks really need to say, you know what, we need to heal you. You'll get your time with Team Canada in 4 years. Unfortunately, let's get you back on the ice healthy. I think that's what it comes down to.
Yeah, I think I agree. I agree wholeheartedly that's what it's going to be at this point. I hate to say that too, because I know how important any international event is for any of the hockey guys.
Yeah.
They love doing any international event. It's just ingrained into the sport. And Olympics are, of course, the international event. Never mind that you've got the World Cup of Hockey coming up a year from, just a little over a year from now. And you've got things like the Four Nations, or you've got, juniors and things. You've got other opportunities to do international events. There's never anything like the Olympics. The Olympics are always the big one.
For anybody who is a hockey fan and, follows Connor Bedard, I think also realizes, it's probably not the best thing for him. I would rather see him become a superstar and be healthy versus, being injury prone and possibly, could lead to lingering things throughout his career. We don't know that. He needs to be healthy. He'll get his time with Team Canada. Macklin Celebrini is making that huge case for I mean, he could be a second liner right now, the way he's playing. Jesus.
Yeah, the line for here, I'll give you the lines from Justin Bourne anyway of Sportsnet. Here's how he projects the Team Canada roster. This was his. Here's what he had in November, and then he's got the updates here. Whoops, I had it and lost it. Sorry. Here we go. His forwards for Milan, Reinert, Crosby, McKinnon. That'd be your first line. Celebrini, McDavid, Hagel, your second line. Stone, Point, Marner, Marchand, Cirelli, and Wilson. And then Sam Bennett and Nick Suzuki are your other two.
Yeah.
So he still has Bedard kind of in that next up, in that, okay, well, if somebody else goes down, but then with Bedard getting hurt, there's just, I don't see it happening. That's to me, I just don't see it happening.
Yeah, I don't either. And talking injuries real quick, Darcy Kemper was really making that case to maybe be the second goalie on Team Canada, and then he, took a vicious hit by Mikko Rantanen, who, let's just say Mikko Rantanen leads the league in penalty minutes this year because he's had two major penalties, including one suspension for the 2-game misconducts in a row. He threw an elbow at Darcy Kemper while Kemper was in the crease. Rantanen also had a skate within the blue as well. I hope it's not a serious injury, because Darcy Kemper was really making a push to make that roster. And I think he's deserving of it. I get to see him play all the time for the Kings. He has been outstanding. He's been their MVP this season. He's really made a name and a case for himself over the last few seasons. He won a cup, and then I hate to see guys go out with an injury. So I hope he is still okay. We don't know. They're holding him out until after the Christmas break, but we'll see what that happens. I just hope there's no more injuries that cost anybody a chance of making their dream of being on the Olympics.
Yeah. Well, If it's gonna hit, yeah, because the rosters are getting announced here in just a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
We will break those down once they are announced, and yeah, hopefully just no more injuries, please. Can we avoid those if they can somehow skate hard but not into each other? I don't know. I don't
Yeah.
know how. I try to actually avoid them. It's just way more trouble than it's worth. I think
It is.
It just you want to have it happen, but you know ultimately in the end you will not avoid the injuries. They always happen. It's just one of the things that goes on.
Yeah, unfortunately. Yep.
So, well, before we completely wrap things up, let's take a dive over into the PWHL for a moment. They've got 3 games that were going on tonight. 2 have gone final. Montreal defeated Toronto 2-1 in a shootout. That was part of the PWHL takeover tour. So we'll talk about that a little bit more in a moment.
Mhm.
Boston continues to just not allow goals. The Boston Fleet taking on the New York Sirens tonight, and the final score 2-0 for
Aaron
Boston.
Frankel.
Aaron
girl.
Frankel, another shutout.
We talk about her every week. She is outstanding. Boston is 5-0, and she's only given up 2 goals on the season, a 0.4 goals against average. I mean,
it's not like she's only having to make 5 or 10 saves for the game.
Yeah,
she made 33 saves tonight for the Fleet.
33 saves.
33 saves.
Her save percentage is a 9.85.
That is just unbelievable.
Yeah.
The Sirens 0 for 3 on the power play. They had how many shots? I don't have how many shots came on the power play, unfortunately. But Ella Huber and Liz Sheppers both got their first goals of the season for Boston. Nice. As the Fleet get the win there. And then going on right now in Seattle, it is the end of 1. The Torrent are leading the charge 1-0 there in Seattle. But the big one in the PWHL tonight was the Montreal Victory getting the win 2-1 over the Toronto Scepters. The game was played in Halifax, Nova Scotia, and officially kicked off the PWHL's 3rd annual takeover tour. Anna Shelbin got her first goal of the season for the Siren. Maya Labid then answered with her first goal of the year for Montreal, and then the game went into overtime from there, and then in the shootout, Marie-Philippe Poulin scored the only goal in the shootout. She was the first shooter. She connected. Nobody else made one from there. So Montreal gets the win 2-1 over Toronto. Some good defensive plays going on over there as well. And Renee Despiens got the number 1 star of the game, 35 saves on 36 shots. Reagan Kirk for Toronto, though, not much further behind her, 30 saves on 31 shots for Toronto.
Some terrific hockey being played by those women.
So
goalies really stand out. I haven't seen any games that have really gone, too high scoring or that much of a blowout other than a Boston game. But yeah, all the games are really tightly contested. Boston obviously 5-0, 15 points, kind of running away with things right now. And, I like to see what they can do. But big win for Montreal in the shootout. They get the 2 points. Remember, it's a 3-point game in the PWHL. So win in regulation, you get 3 points. Overtime or shootout, you get 2, and a shootout or overtime loss, you get 1. Correct, Adam?
Correct. That is exactly. Yep, that is exactly right. It's a 3-2-1 system. So Montreal gets 2 points. Toronto does get a point for advancing to a shootout. The Sirens don't get anything for losing in regulation to Boston. Boston continues to have the best record currently in the PWHL. 5 games, they have won all of them in regulation. Well, when you're not giving up any goals whatsoever, it's pretty easy. Boston, they've got a big one next. They play Friday night in Minnesota against the reigning Walter Cup champions, the Frost, looking to get a big 3 points against the Fleet. And then Minnesota will be taking part in the next part of the Takeover Tours Sunday afternoon in Chicago. Minnesota taking on the Ottawa Charge in Chicago. That'll be a good one.
You're going to that one, right, Adam?
We're going to that, but we're all 4 of us are going to that one. We're taking my wife and I. We're taking the kids, and
that's great.
It's going to be a surprise Christmas present for my daughter, she's in her first year of doing organized hockey. So that's going to be a big one for her. So that's going to be she's going to be very excited. She's going to be very excited. That's
so cool. Are there any events that they're doing, like pre-game or post-game, in which you could maybe meet the players or anything like that?
They do. They have done some private events. What they did yesterday in Nova Scotia and Halifax, they had a private meet and greet for current hockey players in the area, that they could come and skate with the teams and meet with them. We're just gonna be trying to get there early enough to get to watch them warm up and see everybody and try to get the full experience there for everybody. So that'll be
awesome.
Fun.
I'd love to hear your story next week for sure.
We will have some good stories to go through as well. Well, let's before we wrap things up here on this week, let's dive into your power rankings for this week, shall we? We'll go back to the NHL for a moment to wrap things up here on the Neutral Zone here tonight. Let's dive into your power rankings for the week. We know. So you had teased it last week that it wouldn't take much and Minnesota would get itself involved. They found themselves in there. So let's go ahead and dive on in there for you. Starting off, who is coming in at number 10?
At number 10, the Philadelphia Flyers. Yes, I said the Philadelphia Flyers have cracked my top 10 in the power rankings. They are playing very good hockey. They, managed to keep pace. They're 4th in the Eastern Conference with 40 points. They're only 4 points from being the number 1 team in the Eastern Conference, playing 606 hockey. They're, one of the best teams defensively, only giving up 88 goals as well. So they're getting great goaltending. Dan Vladar, of all people, having a fantastic season for the Flyers. They're getting really good, offensive play. Trevor Zegras has been a big inspiration and a huge spark plug to that team. We didn't see that very much out of him in Anaheim. He was more of an agitator and kind of a whiny little of a guy, but he's really doing well. I like what Philadelphia is doing. Very tough team to play against. They are now in the top 10 of the power rankings.
I like it. And I'm sorry, the reason you're not seeing it up on the screen is totally me. It is 100%.
Totally.
It is 100% me having technological issues. So
no problem.
There, if I could just push buttons the way I'm supposed to. There we go. We got him up there. We knew we'd get him there eventually. Coming in at number 9.
Number 9, Washington. They've kind of stumbled a little bit. They were higher a week ago. Big loss last night, 5-0 to Minnesota. That kind of brought them back down as well. They're number 9. Logan Thompson still leading the way in goal. He's probably one of the front runners, along with, maybe a Wallstead and maybe one of the goalies out of Colorado as far as Vezina candidates right now. But Washington's drops. They're still a really good team. Expect them to stay up there.
I like it. And then at number 8, we talked about them a little bit already, but let's dive back in and discuss these guys. I saw that they were fighting while Christmas music was being played on the ice too, which that's that's a hockey thing to do.
Yeah, Boston is doing awesome right now, and we're seeing things out of Morgan Geekie. We said maybe he can reach that 40-50 goal plateau. He's sitting at 24 right now. Yeah, we didn't expect anything out of Boston, but I knew they weren't going to be as bad of a team as they were last year. Really, again, a tough team to play against, especially 5-on-5 hockey. Big mobile defenseman Nikita Zadorov. Jeremy Swayman is playing very well in net as well. You know, if you get Pasternak hot, he could be, the catalyst. But Morgan Geekie really is that true unsung hero right now for Boston in their run this year.
They're making a run. They're trying to stay
They
out
are.
there. They're trying to hang on, make one last gasp here in Boston.
And they're right there too. They're Boston, Washington, and Philadelphia. They all have 40 points. They're all right there. I mean, they could have been in any order in the power rankings. That's just where I had them placed based on what I've seen out of them right now. But yeah, the Eastern Conference is so tight and compacted. We're seeing separation in the West, but the East is still so tight.
It's very much so. Lots of volatility from week to week. Number 7, This team still, the fact that we're talking about them still on a weekly basis still continues to boggle my mind. Anaheim Ducks.
Yeah, they've struggled a little bit, going 1-2 in their last 4. Lost in overtime last night to the Columbus Blue Jackets. They did beat the Rangers on the road, but everybody beats the Rangers in Madison Square Garden. So
yeah,
they did have a couple
of the Rangers at home too.
They did have a couple of stinkers before that Ranger game. Again, just going through those growing pains right now, but Anaheim, I think, is still in a really good position. What they're doing. We'll see in the next set of games where they really rank, because you have Vegas that's surging. If Vegas gets a win tonight, they'll jump Anaheim in the standings. Edmonton is on fire. They're moving their way up. San Jose is moving their way up as well. So I still see the Ducks up there, but they did drop a little bit in this week's rankings.
They dropped, and they would be on alert for falling out completely. Things keep trending the way they are.
Yeah, and then the team ahead of them is Vegas. Vegas is playing really good hockey right now. You had the whole Carter Hart thing. He's done well in the games that he's played. Now that they may be in a situation where they may be having to shop a goalie as well. Aiden Hill, Akira Schmid. They have 3 good goalies now with Carter Hart. Kind of maybe he'll be the chip that is dealt. I don't know, but Zach Eichel having a phenomenal season. He's leading the way with points. And then Mark Stone, the captain of that team, he could be really one of those agitators and gets under your skin, but he produces. And he missed a big chunk of games with an injury this year, but still sitting, I think, at 28 points right now. The game Vegas is playing New Jersey right now, and it is 0-0 at the end of the first period. So really entertaining game. They're a good team.
Yeah. To me, Carter Hart, probably, if I'm another NHL team, he's probably the one goalie on Vegas that I'm like, you know what? You keep him. We're glad that he's working out for you. And that, we'd rather avoid that whole mess. We're very interested in talking about Aiden Hill, though.
Yeah, maybe. Who knows? They kept him out of playing the game in his return to Philadelphia as well. So they're kind of using him with caution.
They know. They understand what it is they have there. Next, number 5, the winged wheel. That team in Detroit that kind of smoked my Blackhawks 4-0 the other night.
Yeah,
not happy about that.
They did. Detroit is another team that was a bubble team last year. They're just getting it done. They're getting really good play out of their forwards. I like what I see out of these guys, and I'm glad they didn't make a trade maybe to pick up Quinn Hughes, because I did see that they may have been in the running with Emmett Finney maybe being one of the key pieces going back to Vancouver. I like what I'm seeing out of the youngsters in Detroit right now. They're all playing really well. And, Mo Seider, one of my favorite defensemen to watch in the league. If you ever have a chance to watch him play, he's just a really outstanding, good puck-moving defenseman. He's also physical. Detroit, big win the other night. It was John Gibson picking up another win as well. They're getting really good goaltending. Gibson and Talbot leading the way for the Red Wings.
Yeah, it's one of those that, like, had they acquired Hughes, you would have completely understood it, but it also, they would have had to give up a lot. And,
yeah,
it's working. You don't have to sell the farm just to get a really good workhorse.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. They did lose 4-1 tonight against Utah, so they'll probably be back down, and somebody else will leapfrog them come next week. We'll just wait and see.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. All right, coming in at number 4, we talked about them a lot at the opening of the show. They did win the Quinn Hughes sweepstakes, came out of nowhere. The Minnesota Wild at number 4.
Oh, they're surging. And there was a gentleman on last week's show that commented, where's Minnesota? Why aren't they in the top 10? And I said, you know what? You have a game against Dallas tomorrow night. I want to see how they play against the Stars. They went in there and beat the Stars 5-2 and have been surging since that point. Minnesota definitely in the top 10. But at this point, I think this is kind of where they're going to be. I don't think they can get any higher. Maybe leapfrog Dallas, but that would be about it at this point. But Minnesota is rolling. I want to see them stay up there for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. They have, as we talked about a lot, 5-game winning streak and some impressive showings in there. They're going to have a huge weekend this weekend. We'll see where they're at after that. Coming in at number 3. And I'm going to go with like the deep cut alternative.
I like
color
that. That's great.
We just did all the reds all in a row, so we got to shake it up here. So coming in number 3, the Carolina Hurricanes. And all the Hurricane fans are going, why in the world did this guy pick the silver? Well, okay, fine.
Right. No, Carolina, 44 points, leading the Eastern Conference right now, a plus 18 goal differential. They're just as good of a road team as they are a home team, 11-5-1 at home, 10-4-1 on the road, 4-game winning streak. What can't you say about the Hurricanes? It's just going to come down to whether or not they can get it done in the playoffs, I think. They have no problem getting there. They may be the top team in the East by the end of the season. I like Carolina a lot. They have a lot of great players. And, oh, shoot, there was a stat that I wanted to bring up, and I totally goofed on. Oh, it was Shane Gostisbehere of Carolina. A stat that many people may not know about him right now is, and I didn't know about it either, in 23 games played this year, he's got 24 points. And that's something we didn't see out of Ghost. And maybe his first year in Philadelphia, when he first came into the league and really took the league by fire. He's also a plus 11, and that's huge for this Carolina team. They're going to really rely upon their defense, and then you have the offensive talent, with Logan Stakoven and Seth Jarvis and Aho and Svechnikov, and the list goes on and on. Freddie Anderson has got to carry him in net, though.
Yep. Freddie Anderson. Well, and when you're having that plus 11, to me, that's so much more important than the 24 points in 23 games. Okay, yes, you need that in Carolina, but
that just shows you that he's on the ice when he's not on the ice for goals against. He's out there contributing, and that's a huge factor. I'm going to bring that up in 2 more teams, the plus minus. I want to point out something to you on this one.
All right, well, we'll go right ahead then. Number 2, the Dallas Stars. This hasn't changed in probably 3 or 4 weeks. They're comfortably there at number 2, despite losing to Minnesota.
Yeah, it's either going to be Carolina or Minnesota right now that have any chance of jumping Dallas in the rankings. But I saw the Kings went into Dallas and played them the other night. Dallas started the backup goaltender, like any team should against the Kings right now, and they did what it took to win. Another really strong team, great defensive play. Jake Ottinger is fantastic. They're getting awesome offense as well. Jason Robertson and Wyatt Johnston, all those guys are having incredible seasons. Dallas is a tough team to play against, especially if it comes down to Dallas and Minnesota. Whoever gets the 2 seed, I think both arenas are extremely hostile to play against, and that's going to be the most green that you're ever going to see is if the Stars are playing the Wild in a playoff game. You know what I mean?
I've loved how they've started letting the teams both wear effectively their home jerseys at games. You couldn't do that with these two. No way. It will not work.
No.
Could
If you're
not have it.
good luck if you're colorblind too, right? Because it's all gonna look the same.
Yeah,
Speaking of uniforms, real quick, off topic, I did hear that the Kings and Ducks are going to have a color rush game coming up here soon as well. Okay. I don't know which day they're going to have that, but you're going to have the safety cone orange of the Ducks going against the black of the Kings. I think it'll be pretty nice seeing the contrast in colors.
That'll look sharp. That'll look very nice. One other thing on the sweaters too. Minnesota wore the old North Star sweaters last night. That is a gorgeous, right up there with the Hartford Whalers look.
My God,
I have those out there all the time. Out there all the time.
Yep, number one team.
Wonderful. And then speaking of the Hartford Whalers, as I managed to completely mess up I am having technical difficulties. There we go. There we are. Number one, no shock. They've been there for seemingly the whole season. The Avalanche.
Avalanche are just, they did lose that game last week against the Islanders in regulation, but they bounced back to go on another 3-game winning streak, sitting comfortably atop the NHL at 55 points, only a 6-point advantage over the Stars. And we said, all those games are so critical, especially the games head to head. You want to come out, hopefully don't get a 3-point game in which the loser still gets that loser point. You want to beat, when you're playing Colorado or, if you're Dallas or Minnesota, you want to beat those teams in regulation because Colorado is just going to continue to lead the way. But 133 goals for to 77 against, a plus 56. They're undefeated at home still in regulation at 13-0-2. And my God, Nathan MacKinnon, what can't you say about this guy? 58 points right now, leads the league. He's currently at a plus 43. Plus 43.
And for those who are going plus 11, plus 43, what are we talking about? When you're talking about a plus minus rating, when you're on the ice, your plus minus rating, that's how many more goals your team is scoring when you're on the ice compared to how many they're giving up.
And so that's
plus
not
43. That means that they've scored 43 more goals than they've allowed with McKinnon on the ice.
And power play points don't count. So that doesn't count to your plus minus. So fantastic job. And Nathan MacKinnon, he's so entertaining to watch. I watched that game last night. They finished off the nightcap going against the Kraken. They were down 3-2 and ended up winning 5-3. The record for the highest plus minus in a season is actually 98, and that was set by Dallas Smith in 1970-71. But not only is Colorado just the juggernaut offensively, and they're putting up all these gaudy numbers, but they're also the number one defensive team in the league as well. They're averaging over 4 goals offensively, but they're giving up only 2.2 goals a game at a .920 save percentage. It's the highest ranking. They're the third, highest scoring team in they're the highest scoring team in third periods as well. So you got to really put them away because they like to come back in third periods. They're leading in every statistical category. Man.
Yeah, I was going to say, if it's a statistical category, offense or defense, they're right there. Yeah. They're right there in the top.
They did lose Scott Wedgwood. He did have that injury, a little bit of a concussion from taking that shot, the Philip Forsberg crash. But Mackenzie Blackwood now stepped right up. He was supposed to be the number one. He's now 10-0-1 on the season.
Oh, darn.
Yeah, darn right. I know. Those guys are fantastic. Colorado this is something magical that I've seen out of a team. I like to see how well they can do and if they can carry it on the rest of the season. Or is somebody going to be the David and knock down Goliath, right?
To me, it's not going to happen anytime soon. To me, it's not going to be any immediate future or anything like that with them. You said they still have not lost at Pepsi Center in regulation, right? They are still
13-0-2.
13-0-2 at home. Where is that first home loss going to come? They host the Jets on Friday. They host the Mammoth on Tuesday of next week. Maybe there.
Maybe Utah. Utah's playing pretty well right now. They're working their way up into one of those wild card slots, especially with that win tonight over Detroit. Maybe Winnipeg. Winnipeg could be maybe that trap game, conference rivals. I don't know. Winnipeg is struggling right now, and that would be a huge uplifting win if they can pull that off. But I don't think either of those teams will be able to win. But we'll see next week.
Yeah. We will figure it out. So there are the power rankings for this week. The Flyers, the Capitals, the Bruins, Ducks, Golden Knights, Red Wings, Wild, Hurricanes, and then of course the Stars and the Avalanche, getting you there from 10-1. Well, that will do it for our show here tonight. Woo! What a show, too. A ton that we went through here on the night. Lots to go through. If you missed any of it, of course, you can go back. All these episodes are available for you on YouTube After Effects. If you missed any portion of the show, just head on over to YouTube and catch up on whatever you missed. Thank you once again to our sponsors, Planet Jerky Premium Brisket Beef Jerky. The jerky is on a whole other planet. Go to planetjerky.net to place your orders. There's so often free shipping on all orders of $50 and above. And be sure to follow them on Instagram at Planet Jerky. Thank you also to Vital Apparel, the brand that not only looks great but also promotes and donates to mental health research. When you go to vitalapparel.com, use the promo code IESR and you get 15% off of their comfortable and inspiring gym wear. So thank you to Vital Apparel as well. Be sure to follow along with the station. We are on Twitter. We are on TikTok. We are on YouTube at IE Sports Radio. We're also on Twitch. Thank you to Larry B., the czar and overlord of all things IE Sports Radio. Thank you for all the hard work you are putting in behind the scenes. Sir, it does not go unnoticed, nor is it unappreciated. Thank you to Brian Francione and Glenn Ritter for hanging out in the chat room with us tonight. We really do appreciate that. Thank you to all 260 people that were watching the show live tonight between YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter. We appreciate that as well. And thank you to everybody to catch the show later on in the week as a podcast. He is Freddie B. I am Adam Karnik. Together, we are the Neutral Zone. We do this crazy thing where we talk hockey every Wednesday night. With the holidays coming up, we will see what our schedule is going to be like the next couple weeks, but we'll figure out something. So follow along on all the social media platforms. We will see you next time. Have a great week, everybody.
Good night, everyone.